Hey, good morning there, folks. This is Neal Chin here, and welcome to another episode of our Monday Noodles and Hangout. Excited to be hanging out with you folks for the next hour or so. Just going to be talking some ukulele and whatnot, and well, as the title says, just noodling around and hanging out too. uh, One of the things too is I know there was a lot of requests for we've been kind of doing the blues these past couple of weeks, just general thoughts and looking at the chords and some phrasing things and whatnot. But a lot of you are asking about maybe investigating jazz blues and kind of like the chord progression and whatnot. So today we're going to be taking a look at that and some strategies and things like that to approach the yeah the jazzier side of the blues. Instead of the bluesier side of the jazz, which is usually the case, right? Alrighty, do some real quick tuning here. I feel like I say this every time, but I'm still waking up. Hey, Niles, how's it going? Good morning. Who were you listening to? Well, I'm so glad you asked. No, that was actually a track off of my last record, The Spotless Mind. It's a song that I wrote called Blues to Heal. And a lot of that really was I was kind of actually experimenting with the chord progression from Blues for Alice, which is a kind of a famous Charlie Parker tune. So it's the same chord progressions, but with a different melody or with a different head on top of it. And I wanted to play that again for you folks. I know I've played that before, but that's going to be what we're kind of be talking about today. So I figured that would be kind of an appropriate way to start us off. Hey, Francesca. Good morning. Aloha. How's it going? How's it going? All right. We'll do a little bit of noodling here and we'll just kind of jump into things. So, happy Aloha Monday, folks. There we go. Hey, awesome. I'm glad to hear that you got your ukulele back, Francesca. Nice. Hey, Gail. Good morning. Hey, Tanya. Good morning, too. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Oh, let's do a different key today. I always start off in F. Let's do something else. We'll play a lot in F today, so we'll do a different key to start us off with. How about A? Oh, let's start here. Actually, you know what? Let's do a little Hawaiian music here just to start us off. In honor of the Nahoku Hano Hano Awards that were just over this weekend. Yeah. So, kind of funny story, actually. I recorded this song, actually, already a couple of years back, but long story short, the recordings really haven't surfaced and really haven't made their way out to the public or whatnot, so we will see if they will. Might want to just do something a little bit different with the tune. It's kind of interesting, right? As you continue to live with the song, it definitely sounds different in your head, and sometimes it's a little harder to hear back the older version of the tune. But I digress. This is a lovely song here, and some of you folks might recognize it. Written by Queen Liliuokalani. Let's do it like this. Yeah, something like that. I just absolutely love that song. That's a song called Ku'upua I Paukalani. If you have the chance to, I go ahead and look up the story. It is a beautiful and heartbreaking story about Queen Liliuokalani when she was in prison in the palace, and she wrote that song. Lovely, beautiful story. Very beautiful, very beautiful. And a perfect opportunity right now to take a moment to congratulate everyone who participated and were nominees and, of course, the winners at the Nahoku Hano Hano Awards. I thought it was amazing that Hara took the whole big award show and put it online, and still ran with it with, the winners pre-recording their messages and whatnot and speaking or playing their pre-recorded messages, after they want and whatnot. It was really nice. It's an event that I very much enjoy going to and had the pleasure of going to a handful of times in my life, being nominated before, and just want to send a congratulations, of course, also to everyone that worked on the show as well. I know that's a lot of work to put that all together, and especially right now when it's it's a little harder to do everything, right? So hats off to all of you folks. I want to send, of course, a special shout out to Bob and Patty St. John. Congratulations on compilation. Excuse me, not compilation album of the year, but for Hawaiian Engineering, excuse me, for Island Style Ukulele Volume 3. It was a pleasure being a part of that project, and really cool to kind of see where all those great records were made at Neos Productions. So congratulations, Bob and Patty. All right. That being said, too, let's jump into today's topic, shall we? A little bit of jazz blues. Okay. All right, we'll see if this works for a little while. Actually, you know what? We're going to do this really quick. You know what, folks? Stay right there. Don't move, and I will be right back in just 2 seconds. Ready, set, go. Not bad, yeah? It was like, what, 5 seconds? Nah. I won't be tedious. I was going to switch over to this uke over here, just over to my cool Aloha Classic. Yeah, I get a little extra punch today. Hopefully you can see a little bit better. There we go. That's the one. Alrighty. So, like I mentioned, today we're going to be talking about jazz blues. And to start us off with, let's just do a real quick review here for those of you who are just jumping in with us. If you haven't seen one of the previous sessions, I'm not saying not saying you have to go check them out or anything like that, but they definitely help supplement this. So if you're especially watching this after the stream is done, I might recommend going and maybe just kind of thumbing through, so to say, or scrubbing through, I guess would be the the modern version of that with the other episodes. But actually, you know what I'm gonna do? We're just gonna jump right into it today with this. Alrighty, folks. So we got our good old iReal Pro little thingamabob up here, and I'm just gonna be using actually just some of the stock stuff. So these are just like the exercises that kind of come stock with iReal Pro, just because, well, do a perfect example of the blues on there. At least for these charts and whatnot. So, alrighty. So, it would take a look here. Oh, you know what? That's what it is. Oh, no wonder. There we go. We'll try that. That should be a little bit better. Okay. All right, so here we got the 12-bar blues kind of laid out in front of us, and it's pretty simple stuff, like pretty straightforward. This is going to be kind of what I would think of it as in its kind of simplest form here. We're going to be playing in the key of F, just because I think F is it's a great key for the ukulele, and yeah, I like playing an F. It's going to be using F. So basically just using our 1-4-5, and like how we had discussed before, we can kind of use this kind of from a quote-unquote non-functional stance here, or non-diatonic at least in a sense. And what that means is that we're just going to be using dominant 7th chords for each one of these. So if you just kind of quickly scan, you only see those 3 chords there. We have that F7, we have that B-flat 7, and then we have a C7 there on the turnaround, yeah? Okay, so if I would just kind of go through the blues in a simple form, as it's listed, it would sound something like this. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, right? Yeah, you don't need me to count. Yeah, B flat 7, right? Got two measures here. Back to 1. Oh, I'm clipping now. Okay, here's the 5. And down to the 4. And then 2 1s, hey? 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. And we start over. Sorry, folks, 1 second. Let me change that volume real quick. There we go. Much better. Okay, there we go. Okay, so what we're going to be doing here today is basically going to be kind of thinking about the big movements that are happening, and then what we're going to try to do is add some more chords to our simple blues here, just to make add a little bit more harmonic movement. So, and that's one of the things here is, and that's why we're starting here at the simple blues, is that because, you know, we want to hear all these movements that are happening here, because if we can kind of, you know, plot out these locations, so to say, then it's a little bit easier to know what to add in. Yeah. Or as I like to put it, you know, if you know where you're going to go, it's much easier to kind of plot out your route, right? You know, if we know that we're going to go to the other side of town to get over to, you know, the hardware store or something like that, right? There's definitely, you know, chances are there's several routes that you can take, but as long as we know what our destination is, we know that we can take side streets if we want to. Yeah. Also, at the risk of extending the metaphor, I think it's good to think that, you know, you want to get there in time too, right? Your appointment at the hardware store is at 11:30, so we want to make sure that we get there in time as well. So, we got a lot of the 1, right? So if we take a look at the first 4 measures, that's just a lot of the 1 chord there. So, you know, not too much is happening there. Just kind of really how I like to think about it is kind of an introduction of, or a state of the original statement. Yeah. Like if it's going to be, you know, some kind of lyrical thing, or if it's some little melody or whatnot. After that, we go over to the 4 chord, or B flat 7, right? And this is going to be kind of a restatement here. And I think that's a good way to do it, of course, lyrically, but we can definitely do this musically as well, right? Maybe keep the melody the same, but maybe move it through the chords. You know, you probably heard something to the effect of, right? It's kind of like the same melody, but just with the 2 chords. F, da, 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 B flat, da, 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 da. And then, of course, at the end, we got the big 5 chord over there, and turn around. And, you know, like I had mentioned in the previous stream, this is where there's a lot of flexibility, and this is where we'll see probably the most variation. I mean, just based on this alone, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you folks are already kind of saying, like, oh, well, you know, what if we put like a 5 at the end, right? So, you know, there's, you know, basically, let's say 7, B flat 7, F7, the 1. And this one is just saying to play it for another measure, but we could stick in a 5 chord at the end there too, right? If we want to play another chord just to take us back to the beginning. Yeah, so that maybe there's some more motion. So, to that same effect, let's look at some other chords, right? Because kind of what's happening there, right, in a nutshell, is that if we put a C7 chord at that last measure, then that adds more movement. It's not changing the statements. It's not changing too much that's happening, but it's just adding in more. Yeah. And again, I think that's a good hat to wear in this case because, you know, the blues is a fantastic form as is. So, you know, we want to enter through convention and innovate after that. So, let's move on. And of course, if you have any questions or anything like that, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Or concerns. There we go. Let's pull this over. Oh, wrong one. Jimmy Rolls. Okie dokie. Let's take a look at this one now. So, one of the things here, just take a quick scan, is you're going to notice that a lot of the movements are in the same spot. So the F7 is still on measure 1. We have a B flat 7 now on measure 5, or still on measure 5, excuse me. And yeah, you got that F7 that follows that after. We notice a lot of variation on the 3rd line there, or the last 4 measures. But it's interesting because it still kind of points in a very similar direction. So let's unpack this real quick. So here, I can do this with one hand here. So with the first 4 measures over there, right? One of the things that we're going to first add in is we're going to add in that B flat 7 on that second measure there, right? Because if we kind of go back for a moment, right? This is what we had before. And so just with that alone, yeah, that's, some people will call that a quick turn, and that's actually something that happens quite often. You know, just to do a real quick 4 on that second measure. So we'll have maybe like F7 going 1, 2, 3, 4, F7, B flat 7 for a quick 4, and then back to the 1. Okay, just like that. Now, again, adds a little bit of interest there, and it's good for the melody too, I find. Yeah, just makes it a little bit more interesting. More things that you can add in if you like. But at the end of the statement, right, the end of the phrase itself, that's going to be on bar 4 over there. And that, you know, kind of a good way to think about this is that when you finish a phrase, right, we want to put something there to take us to our next location. And in this case, you know, nothing's really happening too much. You know, I mean, F7 kind of falls into B flat 7, you know, kind of like a 5-1 thing. But one of the things that we can do is we can add, again, more motion or more chords, like a lovely, lovely, lovely 2-5-1. So here, don't worry about the rest of it. Just look at the first 4 measures here, okay? You can see kind of what we're adding in there. We're just putting in that C minor 7 right before that F7 there. And what that creates is a little 2-5-1 that goes into the B flat 7. And it just adds, again, a little bit more harmonic movement. And that's going to be kind of the theme as we continue down, actually, even in the next, in the 8th bar over there, we're going to be doing the same thing, and even in the turnaround as well. But just with that, right, again, more movement. So let's take a listen there. I'm going to play the first 4 measures, and just so we know where we're going to go, I'm just going to strum a little bit of that 5th measure there too, right? Again, just to plot out where we're going. Always think about where you're going, okay? So it's going to be like 1, 2, 3, F7, 1, 4, and back to the 1. Now we do a little 2-5-1 here. And over to B flat 7. Okay, so it kind of helps, kind of propels the, again, the harmony a little bit into that chord there. Okay. Are you ready? If there are no questions, we'll continue on. So coming back to it, here we have the next 4 measures. Here we have our B flat 7 and going over to F7. And that's going to be 4 and over to 1. So we're going to kind of keep those movements in place, but similarly like we did to the first 4 measures there, we're just going to add in some extra chords to add in some movement. So definitely here, when we come into, you know, bar 6 there after that B flat 7, one of the things that's kind of nice there is to have a little, maybe a diminished chord there. And that adds a little bit of motion, a rising motion coming up from the B flat 7. Oh, wait. Oh, that was going to be so smooth. From the B flat 7. Hey. There we go. But yes, again, creates a little bit of tension there and kind of falls into the F7 nicely too. Yeah, we have a lot of rising tones there, and we'll come back to talking about that B diminished 7, you know, moving into F dominant 7th. But we got some rising chromaticism going on there, but we'll come back to that in a sec. Another episode. Okay. But following that, we have another 2-5-1. You're going to notice that we have that A minor 7 and D7, which initially seems like it's coming out of nowhere. But if you kind of look at where the song is going to go next, yeah, let's just pretend for a moment that G minor 7 was already put there. Hey, we maybe should have worked on the song going backwards, yeah? Hint, hint, hint. But if we just pretend that G minor 7 was there, again, we just see another 2-5-1. It's just an A minor 7, a D7 going into G minor 7. Right? Now, if we kind of like take a step back here, okay, and you know, look at it from a larger point of view, let's look at what's happening from A minor 7 into the next 2 bars. Okay, we have A minor 7, we have D7. And again, those 2 chords go into G minor 7, right, as a 2-5-1. And check it out. On G minor 7, look at what happens with the next measure, right? We have G minor 7 and C7, right? Which, doesn't that kind of seem most like a 2-5, right? In the key of F. And we go to our F7 over here for our resolution, right? Usually on this measure over here, what is that, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? That we're going to have that resolution of the melody here too. So the 1 chord will often be played here. And so, albeit for a moment, we do have an F7 on this measure. So, another way to look at this, this A minor 7, B7, G minor 7, C7, is kind of like, of course we can think of it as like 2, 5, 2, 5. Or we can think of this, of course, as 3, 6, 2, 5, 1, right? And of course, this is a common chord progression here that we, use in jazz all the time, or I know I do. But a 3, 6, 2, 5, good for turnarounds and good for, well, songs in general, right? But yes, at this point we would reach the 11th measure over here, and then we do have a lot of movement that's happening. And quite frankly, once we get to this point, once we get to the 11th measure over here, I think it's just good to check in with the people that you're playing with. And if it's yourself, just check in with yourself. Because again, here there's a ton of variation. Very common for like swing tunes and other standards and whatnot is at the end of the tune we'll play some kind of turnaround to take us back to the beginning. And that's the function there, right? And so this is kind of really just like another turnaround, like Too Marvelous for Words. I know I use it in that song, and I'm drawing a blank on some other ones. I Wish You Love will have a similar one like this too, but it's just like a... definitely talked about this one on this stream before because it's one of the chord progressions that I like to start up warming up with. The only real difference here is that first chord is an F dominant 7th because we're playing the blues. Well, at least that's how I like to think about it. But it's an F dominant 7th instead of an F major 7, yeah? Instead of... Do that again, F major 7. Okay, now the dominant, yeah? Done gone through. Am I blue? Kind of song like that, So yes. So that in a nutshell is just kind of like a sketch of the harmony. Yeah. To get from, again, just to take a step back, to our simple blues over here, right? Our kind of 12-bar blues that we'll probably more commonly see, to something a little bit more elaborate here, a little bit more chord movement. And now that we have it all kind of pieced out in front of us, let me play it for you folks, just so we can kind of get a good scan of what it sounds like. So, from the top, 1, 2, 1, 2. Here's the 1, 4, 1, 2, 5, 1 into the 4, 4, rise it up, 1, 2, 5 to our turnaround. C7 and turn around, bar 11, bam, bam, yeah. Okay, we go back to the top, F7, E flat 7, F7, B flat 7, diminish, maybe rise the diminish, just for fun. Alright, you know what? Gotta feel it. Everybody just move along through this for a little bit. Follow along on the chart. I'm gonna improvise a little bit. Back to F7, E flat 7, back to the 2 5, to the 4, and go down. That's kind of fun. 2 5. Okay, last one. Skip the 2 5 there. F7, A minor, D7, G minor. Yeah, something like that. And then, of course, it's always kind of fun too. One of the other reasons why I think it's nice to learn a jazz blues thing like this is that even if you're playing, you know, kind of the simpler form of the blues and whatnot, at least, I mean, harmonically speaking, of course, right? I always want to clear that up. One of the things is that you can kind of layer these on top of each other, which is really nice. And it's nice to go back and forth. Like, okay, a good example right there, I think it was... whichever take it was, the second or third one. I accidentally missed the C minor 7 and F7. I missed that 2 5 1 there. I got caught up in the moment, if you will, on the previous F7. And so I just kind of reverted in my head back to, okay, we'll just get ready for the 4, like skip the 2 5, you know, or thinking about the other version of the song, the simpler version of it, to kind of get you there. Because, you know, that's the thing is, like, you know, when you add in all these more, you know, these more complex things and we take out, you know, some of the complexity, right? The skeleton is still there. The structure of the song is still there. And so you're still relatively safe, so to say, you know. And it's a good strategy for improvising for when moments like this happen. So good teaching moment. Now, okay, so I saw a couple of comments here flop by, so I just want to take a real quick peek at the chat before we continue on. Hey, how's it going, Mom? Thanks for tuning in. Francesca, that C7 in the last line can be a C7 flat 9. Yes, 100%. So, kind of one of the nice things here, too, right, is as we add extra layers of complexity here and we get more comfortable with something like this even, right, we can start to add in extensions to these chords. And dominant 7s are like littered, right, with all these different great extensions that we can add in here. So Francesca, you mentioned the C7 on the last line can become a C7 flat 9. So that's a C7 chord, right? And we're basically going to add in a D flat in there, which for us, if your C7 is down on the 1st fret, we just bring another finger up there. Same fret, but on the 3rd string. And 100% that'll work, right? Well, you know, maybe I shouldn't say 100%. Maybe we should say 98%, right? Like, let's double check. How's this? I'm going to take the last 4 measures there, and let's throw in that C7 flat 9 and hear what that sounds like, right? So from G minor 7, if I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it kind of has a little bit of a darker tone almost, right? And, you know, one of the things, too, you know, I'm glad that you brought that up, Francesca, about that C7 flat 9, because, of course, too, when we add in those extensions, of course, the qualifier that I, of course, will add there is that when we add in notes, you want them to go somewhere. And so, in this case, if I'm doing C7 flat 9 down here, I'm not too hip to that myself, just because that little flat 9 that we're adding in there doesn't really have a place to go. I mean, yes, it kind of does. That, you know, that D flat will kind of get lowered down to C when we get back to F7, but it's getting lower down in that C. So instead, I might, you know, maybe voice the chord one higher, and that'll get that D flat an octave up, which will go down over to the F dominant 7, which might be nice. So when adding in extensions and things like that, you know, please, of course, definitely do. I encourage each and every single one of you to explore those extensions, because a lot of times it's just like adding in one finger, and it's kind of really fun how much more complex and rich that can make it. But of course, with great power comes great responsibility. So handle those notes with care, if you will. Niles, bar 8 could be an A minor 7 flat 5 to a D7 flat 9. 100%. And, this is definitely right to the same effect of what we were just talking about. I really personally like having that A minor 7 flat 5 instead of A minor 7 there. This adds a little bit more tension, a little bit more angularity, to that chord progression or to that part of the song. So this is going to be in bar 8, folks. So you know what? Let me play it for you folks. A little bit of this idea that Niles has here, using a minor 7 flat 5 to a D7 flat 9. So I'm going to come in from, let's say, I'll just go from the top. I'll flag you guys in when that chord comes up, okay? Or good practice, right? Like, take the opportunity you could use this to count and practice, right? Try count along with me, yeah? I'm following the chart that's directly in front of you folks too. So try count along with me and see if you can't anticipate that A minor 7 flat 5 on bar 8. And if not, just enjoy it. Enjoy the chords. 1, 2 from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, F7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Good. Here it is. Again, the voices are important. So I'm going to do the same thing, but voice it a little bit different. Nice suggestion, nice addition there. Yes, a minor 2-5-1 indeed, Niles. It's going to work great here to add more harmonic movement. And of course, when you're improvising and whatnot, that also gives you a wider palette to play on for single notes too, which is fun too. All right. Hey, how's it going, Todd? Thanks for tuning in. Hey, Joan. Oh, well, I'm glad that the explanation this week is helpful for you. That's awesome. That's awesome. If you have any questions or anything, please feel free to leave them in the comments. But yeah, alrighty. So that's about to wrap up a little bit about jazz blues here. Oh, you know what? Okay, so just that last thing is just before we wrap up. Let's just real briefly just talk about these voices here. Just like I was doing in that last one. I wanted a mulligan on that last one just because I wanted to rephrase those voices to kind of handle them a little bit differently. Now, one of the things that's kind of nice to think about is if you really kind of internalize your phrases and, kind of know where you're going and where you want to highlight in your song. One of the things that's kind of nice, and this pertains to the blues and of course other pieces of music as well, but we can voice the chords to create another layer of motion on top of what's happening just harmonically. And a lot of what this kind of can translate to is just using different positions of the same chord. And for example, one of the things that I like to do is I'll start from maybe, let's say, on the bottom part of the fretboard. And let's say by the time I'm done with phrase 1, that I'll make my way up the fretboard. And then by the time I'm done with phrase 2, I'll make my way down the fretboard, or something to the effect of that, kind of going up and down. And so maybe there's the one that we'll just kind of real briefly look at here is, we'll take Niles and Francesca's example with these extensions. And let's say we want to highlight again measure 8 and going out, let's say all the way to the end of the song. So from measure 8 all the way to the end. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to voice these chords, by choosing an A minor 7, and in this case with a flat 5, a little higher up the fretboard. I'm going to use the one that's up here on the 5th fret. And then from here, what's nice is if you're smack in the middle too, you can go in either direction, which is kind of nice. But from here, I'm going to go down. Okay, so if this is my A minor 7 flat 5 on the 5th fret, I can have a D7 over here on the 5th fret as well, right? Moving down-ish. Okay. And then the next voice of chord, or the next chord, I should say, is a G minor 7. So I'll choose a voice that's kind of close. And so I might choose this voice instead of the one down here. A different position. And so what you got there is... yeah, a little bit different sounding right then. Yeah. And if we continue in this vein, again, we can keep going down, right? At least for a little bit, so... throw that flat 9 too on the end. Yeah. Okay. And so again, just has like a nice little bit of extra motion that's going to be happening there too. So I'm going to take it one more time from the top. We'll say 2 more times actually, just so we get some time to think about it and hear it. We'll use those voices there, right? And you know, on a later day, we just might have to dig into that concept a little bit deeper. It's a lot of worms to untangle right now. But just for now, your takeaway is just choose a voice and then move in a direction. Up or down, right? Melodies move in 2 ways. Okay, from the top. 1, 2, 3, F7. Here it is. Same thing. And it doesn't hurt to have a couple of endings there in your pocket, ready to go. Alrighty, folks. So that's a little bit about the blues there. Hope you folks found that helpful and useful in discovering and working through the jazz blues. The jazz blues. Oh my goodness. Working through jazz blues chord progressions here. And adding in different little harmonic movements. And the thing that's nice about this too, and I really enjoy teaching this as well, both in workshops and in private lessons and stuff, because I think this is a great stepping stone for adding more complex harmonic movements to other things as well. Because conceptually, it's pretty much the same, you know? Like, I mean, in a sense, you know, a lot of what we did today really boils down to 2-5-1s. Why'd you add 2-5-1s to the blues? Yeah? And make it sound jazzy. And it's crazy because if you do that to other kinds of songs and stuff like that, you know, it does the same thing. Put together a band, rehearse, and you got postmodern jukebox right there. Nah. They do wonderful work. Wonderful work. Great stuff. All right. Let us, the ending. Yeah, that sounds good. You know, that sounds good. Yeah, no joke. Yeah, a whole hour of turnarounds is really not a terrible idea. You know, I always like to plug my friends and whatnot, and of course, other teachers and whatnot, but I'm sure you folks are familiar with Lil Rev. And if you are not familiar with Lil Rev, I think that should be your job for today. Nah. If you're not familiar with Lil Rev, I highly recommend going to check him out. He's got several books out there and whatnot. Not only is he just like one of the most amazing people, like an amazing human being, like yes, stand up guy. But he's an amazing musician and a great catalog of a lot of great blues musicians as well. And I know he has a book, if I'm not mistaken, and just correct me if I'm wrong in the chat there, but he has a book that's just all about different turnarounds and whatnot. And so I highly recommend you go check him out. Go check out one of his workshops in the near future, because that's a great guy to go check out for blues turnarounds. Plus, he plays them in such a way too, and that's kind of important, I think. So go check out Lil Rev. Go check out Lil Rev. All the way in Milwaukee. I have to go watch Wayne's World. All right, let's play some tunes here. You know what? Actually, let's pull out the chords here. Let's pull out the chords again. Hold on one second. Let's find a song. Oh yeah, it's gonna do that. All right, never mind. We'll just play tunes. Oh, you know what? I haven't played this in a while. So, yeah, actually, here, this would be a good example. This would be a good example, too, if I can play it well. So, Georgia on My Mind it's a wonderful, wonderful song, of course, for its historical importance and whatnot, and, of course, just being, like, a fantastically written song, too. I feel like it has some of this kind of blues inclinations, I guess the word that came to mind. With some of these kind of chords and stuff like that, so that we're kind of talking about today. So let's play a little bit in Georgia on My Mind in the key of F. Let's see what happens. There you go. There you go. There you go. Okay, man. Let's try it again. Ah, Georgia on my mind. Nice and loose and colorful. Such a lovely song. Love that song. One more song. Just in celebration of again the Nahoku Hanohano Awards this weekend, excuse me. I'm playing for you the song that I had the lovely pleasure of contributing to the album, Island Style Ukulele Volume 3. This was here, I'll give a little story too. It's a real short one. I promise. No, it's so getting to record this song, Bob St. John, the owner and producer of the record, had approached me to contribute to the album, and he actually asked me if I could do a recording of Sukiyaki. Some of you folks may know it as Ue o Muite Aruko. But Sukiyaki, I'll call it that, shorter name. It's a wonderful tune, and I grew up listening to it. And at my great-grandmother's house on the island of Lanai, she had a music box that she used to pull that my brother actually brought to my attention when we were younger. And we used to pull on that thing, and it would just play the very simple melody. And so both him and I actually really enjoy this song, and later to go on and play it. And so when Bob had asked me to record this, I was totally stoked because I basically already had a arrangement for it. And so I went over to the studio and whatnot on a trip back home, and I have to admit I was kind of nervous and shaking in my little boots because here or there at Neal's Productions, there's a lot of fantastic records that were made there. Ukulele Friends, the albums with Brian Tolentino and Erboto Jr. If I'm not mistaken, did some recordings there. Clay Gamiao has recorded there. For those of you who know, of course, Justin Young and whatnot, all of those great recordings, at least a lot of great recordings that I grew up with, recorded at the studio, so I was very nervous. But anyway, not only was both Bob and Patty extremely kind and made it really easy for a newbie like me to work there, we did everything in one take. I was kind of expected as being the individual that I am that's extremely indecisive, usually takes at least 3 takes, at least 4 takes, and then it usually has the producer telling me to just stop, we got the take, it's fine. It was so refreshing to just go into the studio. I think I actually literally had this ukulele at the time, maybe even the same strings, but just right there with the couple of microphones in front of me and one signal going in direct, just recorded it right then and there in one take. So in that spirit, hopefully I can play this in one take today too. So lots of other great artists on that record, of course. Ryo Saito, the one and only Mr. Brian Tolentino, Corey Fujimoto, Brittany Paiva. So it was an immense pleasure to play on it. So anyway, I'll stop being a ham and be a little bit more of a ham and play the song. Take two. Take two. Take two. Okay, wait. Let's try it again. Da 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 da. Oh, okay. Too many songs in the key of F. Gotta switch keys. Gotta switch keys one of these days. Okay, 1, 2, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. There we go. Oh, there we go. There we go. A little sukiyaki there. Yeah, I guess I had to go check on that arrangement at the end. But either way. All right, everyone. That's gonna wrap up another one of our sessions here on this lovely Monday morning. Thanks again to y'all for tuning in. Hopefully, folks got to learn something new today. And if not, hey, it's still early in the day. Still lots of great stuff to do. Yeah, still lots of the day left to be had. So, I hope you folks are doing well. Of course, please, if you folks have any comments, any questions, or any subjects that you'd like to talk about in the upcoming episodes and whatnot, please let me know. If not, probably in the next couple of days, I'll try to think of another topic here and then just post it up. But please let me know if there's anything that you want to talk about. I got turnarounds on my list, so we'll do turnarounds next for sure. But all right. Be kind, be gentle, be nice, maybe a little compassionate if you can. And if you can too, maybe try to help somebody else out, If you can. It's always nice. And if not, just doing your thing too is sometimes good enough. Alrighty, friends. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope you have a lovely week, and I will see you next Monday on another session here of our Noodles and Hangout. Take care.